The topic we're going to be covering today, Dr. Clay is going to talk about time management and how you can improve it and everything, and I will be talking about the holistic learning. Holistic learning, as I wrote on this board right there with a crooked handwriting. Thank you. It's all about you accepting yourself. How many people tend to have text anxiety? Is that real?
Yes.
Huh?
Very.
How do you
Yes.
know?
Because I just feel stressed and I can't think well. Like I feel like I'm losing it in my mind. And then
By the time you're done today, you will say there is no text anxiety. Okay? Okay. Are we ready? I'm going to leave it to Dr. Clay first, and I join later.
Well, that's a lovely magical promise that Dr. Urde has for you to look forward to. I don't necessarily have something super magical to promise you, except for the fact that if you can put good time management practices into place, that it can have a transformative quality on your life and the way you get things done. So, how many people in this room, just by show of hands, are willing to admit that you at least sometimes struggle with time management or organization? Okay, most of you. Good. So we're all on the same page here, right? And do any of you, by show of hands, ever feel kind of overwhelmed by school assignments or balancing your school and your work life and home life and all of that? Okay, good. So we're still all on the same page. And that is why we're running this session today, this workshop, because we found that most students have those same kinds of feelings, especially here at Keiser, because most of you are balancing a lot, right? I don't think any of you aren't working at all, and most of you have people at home that you need to take care of or you have relationships with and stuff like that. So that's why it's crucial to be able to have strategies in place to help you get through that without losing your mind, and also to come out on top with your schoolwork. So that's why this is the first part of our thing today. So while I will add that everybody has different things that work for them, so there's no universal necessarily, this has to work for you exactly the way I say it. There has been a lot of research, which I've done, and also polled different students, that there are about 7 or 8 strategies that commonly work for most people. And then you can just kind of adapt them to suit yourself. So those are the tips I'm going to give you today. I do have the handout to give you after we're done so that you can remember what those tips and strategies are, but I'm going to go through them with you first. So the very first thing when I was a student that I always did at the start of a new semester is one of the top tips actually that is out there, and that is to buy a planner, a student planner. How many of you use planners or have used them? Oh good, some of you, that's awesome. So one of the best ways to start getting organized and managing your time is having a planner to do that with. So aside from buying a planner, I would then buy a bunch of different colored pens. The purpose for that, I'll tell you in a moment. So you only take one class at a time here usually, unless you're taking like the math or whatever with your other classes. But when you start your class, what do you always get from your instructor? A syllabus, right. So you go through your syllabus, and with your first color pen in your planner, on the monthly planner page, you would go through and write down when all of your due dates are, right? That's in one color. After you have all of your due dates down, then in another color, what I would normally do, what I recommend doing, is to then write down your work schedule for each of the days. Right, and in a different color, it'll stand out from your deadlines. So that's your second color, because most of you work, you have work schedules. Finally, in a third different color is when you'll add any other obligations that you have, like say, I don't know, daughter's birthday party, right? You write down on this day, or trip to wherever, things like that. Finally, the last thing about planners is that what I would do is write down on each day the task you plan to accomplish on that day. And that could be in a different color as well. So for example, let's say you wrote down on Wednesday of week 2, essay number 1 due, right? That's your due date. You might want to write on Monday, have essay draft, right? And then on Tuesday, revise essay, right? right? So then not only are your due dates there, but you kind of have started to formulate a plan, which helps as well, instead of just saying, I know it has to be done at this time, but when am I gonna get it done, right? So write that down as well. And staying organized like that is really helpful. The other thing is that if you know you plan to work on something, let's say from 1 to 2 p.m. on Monday, then you don't schedule anything else during that time. You say, this is my hour that I'm working on this, and that's it. And that helps to get it done. It also helps to set it aside because it takes some of the stress out of when am I gonna do it? You know when you're gonna do it. So that's tip number 1. And I have here some copies of planner pages just to give to you. The first page is a weekly planner. So you see the days are bigger. It's like every day has all this space to write down things. And the monthly planner is just squares, like a calendar. I didn't write any numbers in it because you could use it for any month you want. So you'd write like 1, 2, 3, whatever. So I'll pass those, oh thank you. Pass those out now, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. That's actually copied from my planner, which is a big planner, so I have lots of room to write things in it, but obviously you can get smaller planners if you want or need them. So that was tip number 1, was the planner. Tip number 2 is identify time wasters. Can anyone identify personally for you things that you know waste your time when you have things to get done? Cell phones, good. Did everyone just say cell phones?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
I mean, it's like, here.
Okay, good. So we have like social media taking your attention, maybe text messaging, maybe emails that come in, whatever. So phones can be a big time waster. So the point is, are you spending too much time checking social media? Are you prone to texting and answering personal phone calls while you're studying? Things like that. And do you find that a lot of time has somehow magically passed while you browse the web? Right? You think it's like 2 minutes, but it's really a half an hour. So you identify those time wasters, and then no matter what is wasting your time, you set a goal to dedicate towards study time or whatever. So you can say, okay, I know I'm not going to go a whole day without checking my social media, so I'm going to give myself such and such amount of time, and then don't go past that time that you said you were giving yourself. So you have to have a little self-discipline with that. But the first step is identifying time wasters and being honest with yourself about that. Tip number 3 is similar to the planner tip, but a little bit different. It's making a to-do list. Has anyone ever made to-do lists for anything? Okay. So the difference with that is that you're actually writing a list of tasks, smaller tasks that you can then check off. And the reason why that's proven to be effective for people is because it gives you a sense of accomplishment as you're working through things, right? So you can see it, like you have a physical thing to look at that it's like, oh, I'm getting this done, right? So a lot of people, myself included, will put down also like 1 or 2 things that you know you're gonna do and you don't really need to write down, like eat lunch, right? You can check that off the list. Okay, I got something done, right? So to-do lists can be very helpful. And you can even factor in what type of work you're in the mood to do, which will help you be more productive. So say you're in a more creative mood, okay, I'll work on this more creative type assignment first. If you're in more of a, I just want to focus and study, you do that kind of task first. So you can take into account your own preferences or moods you're in, and it actually helps you to be more productive to take that into account. Because if you're forcing yourself to work on something creative when you're just not in a creative mood, it's going to be frustrating, okay? So think about that with your to-do list. Tip number 4 is tackle small tasks to start. Why do you think that might be a good idea?
It gives you momentum.
Yeah, it gives you momentum, exactly. Big tasks can seem overwhelming and sometimes cause procrastination. Because you just look at those and you're like, I can't do that right now. So being able to check something off, like I said, is a confidence booster, and you can get it done quickly, and then you like, oh, I already did all this stuff, and now I just have this big thing to do, and I can spend all my time working on that instead of thinking about all the other little things, okay? Tip number 5, which a lot of people disagree with, but there's actually science and research to back it up, is that you should only do one thing at a time, meaning don't multitask. Okay? We're in such a multitasking-centered world that a lot of people don't take that into account. And sometimes you'll be forced to multitask, like nurses, for example. I'm sure you have to multitask all the time at work, whether you want to or not. But in your own study time and assignment time where you can choose to not multitask, choose to not multitask. It actually makes you less productive, believe it or not. So that's tip number 5. Tip number 6 is to establish routines. Okay? All really productive and organized people have some sort of routine that they stick to. And you can make your own routine, so whatever works for you, but you have that, and so you know always at this time I'm going to be working on this. Always at this time I'm going to be eating my lunch or taking a break or whatever. And it seems rigid, but it actually helps to make sure that you get things done. I know for myself personally, if I'm off of my routine, like when we're on break, and I have things to get done, I'm like, oh, I could do it any time. I don't have to be at work at this time or do this. Then it very rarely gets done. So it's good to stay in a routine. And then number 7, and we only have 2 more after this, so bear with me, is to use breaks wisely. What that means is you don't always have 3 hours to sit down and study, right? Sometimes you might have 20 minutes in between doing something else. So if you say, okay, I don't have 3 hours to study, I'm not going to study at all, not good. Say, I'm going to study for these 20 minutes. Use that time wisely. Okay? And there's actually something called the Pomodoro technique, and that's on the handout I'm going to give you. And there's an app for that. The principle behind it is that you have certain designated times that you know you're focused, and you integrate breaks. So usually the standard time is 25 minutes on task, 5 minutes off task. And the timer is actually set up that way. So it'll like, whatever noise you set up, it'll happen at 25 minutes, and then another one will happen after that 5 minutes is up. And the idea is to actually physically get up, get away from your task for 5 minutes, and then come back to it. And you could do as many intervals as you want. And then after a certain amount, you'll have like a longer break interval, like 20 minutes instead of 5 minutes. And the app is free, and I put it, it's on the handout as well if you want to try that out. That helps people to kind of stay on task, because you're like, I could easily focus for 25 minutes, whereas saying I'm going to study for 4 hours might seem a little overwhelming, but if you break it up into 25-minute increments, it actually goes by pretty quickly. Then number 8, after you use breaks wisely, is take time off. Okay, everyone needs a mental break, and sometimes if you try to force yourself to stay doing something for too long, it's not good. Okay, so allow yourself some time off. Do something relaxing like meditation or yoga or going for a walk or whatever it is that helps to relax your mind. And then lastly, learn to delegate. So at home, how many of you are like the go-to person for doing most, if not all, of the things in your house? Right? Like you're the one who cooks the dinner every night, you're the one who does the cleaning, you're the one who does this. If you have people who live with you, learn to delegate some responsibilities to them when you have deadlines. Say, listen, I know I normally cook dinner, but I have to finish this paper. Could you please cook dinner and give me 30 minutes to work on the paper? Some people don't like to do that because they feel bad or they're not used to it, but it's important to delegate, to give yourself time when you need it. And so that's all the tips that I have for you. I do have the handout to give, and I would like to know if any of you have any suggestions of time management strategies that you have used before that have worked. Yes?
I get up very early in the morning. I can do more things early in the morning than I do all day long. And when my daughters were in high school, I went back to work in graduate school. And so I always had to help them with their work and their activities. And I found that just getting up early in the morning, I got it all done.
That's a good one. If you get good sleep and you can get up early.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing. I get up at 7, I eat, and then I sit down and I start my schoolwork. And I've set from, say, 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning until about noon, 1 at the latest, to get it all done.
And you set yourself aside that time that you knew you were going to do it every day.
And the great thing about being in school here is that you take one class a month rather than where I was getting my associate's degree at. It's like 3 classes,
Right.
3 or 4 classes a week.
Mm-hmm.
So you can concentrate on that one class.
Yes, and that's how I developed that habit of the planner strategy that I told you, because I went to a traditional university as well as an undergraduate, so I would take 4 classes at once, and I would get all my syllabi and write down all my assignments to keep them straight. So, yeah. Any other questions or tips? I work.
better on my schoolwork when I have an empty house. So like if my fiance is out of the house and then my son is staying at my mother's, I get a lot of schoolwork done.
See, and that's important too, knowing the kind of environment that's best for you to get things done. Good. Did I run out of copies?
Yeah, I'll get one.
Okay. Well, I'll pass it on to Dr. Odorinde
No
now,
more questions?
while she makes those copies. And she can tell you about holistic learning, which kind of, follows naturally from this sort of thing. So,
Yes.
go ahead.
Holistic learning. What does that mean? Anybody? Natural. I like that. Come on, I need more. For few people that are my class before, you have to talk, huh?
Oh, you have it for yours today?
Yes. I counted 3 so far. Come on, guys. Holistic learning. When you hear that word.
Holistic, like herbal, nothing.
Like that, like natural. You said it. That's good. But there is more when we say learning. Okay, let me just give it a bunch.
Do you want me to hand them out for you?
Thank you.
Since you helped me. I
What are you doing in your class? Are you learning holistically or not? Are you using all the information that you are reading? Are you using it outside of the classroom? Okay, you're shaking your head. Why not?
Because I spend too much time trying to soak in what I'm trying to learn.
How do you soak it in?
I read,
Okay.
I take the, I read, and at the end of the section where it says summarize what you've
Okay.
learned in this section, I take the time to write down what I've learned,
Okay.
and then I repeat it till I get to the end of the chapter, and then I try to do the little
That's
questions at
good.
the end.
So you will read it first, then you will close the book, then you summarize what you learned.
No, I don't close the book, I just go ahead and start writing after I get done.
Oh, write the information from the textbook.
Yeah, I try to get it while it's still fresh on my mind.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? How do you study?
I like to read and take notes also.
And take notes?
Yeah,
How do you take notes?
I try to summarize what I learned from like a certain paragraph, certain chapter, try to get those main points, whatever's bolded, usually important, so.
Okay. Anybody else? You record. How does that work?
On my phone.
Okay, so you take out the phone, then you record what you just learned, right?
Like while the teacher talking.
Oh, okay, got you. You record it.
I record the whole
Wonderful.
class, yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm visual, so
Yeah.
I use highlighters, colors.
Oh,
Try to
okay.
write it down.
Like what you just said. That's good. Did you raise up your hand?
Yeah, I'm also a visual learner, so.
Okay. So hands-on?
like diagrams or, draw something, I don't know.
If my life depends on it, I cannot draw. But when I'm studying, I draw a lot of stuff. I mean, it doesn't make any whatever to anybody, but I understand it. Yes, you're right. You raise up your hand?
I'm the same way, highlighters, color pens.
Okay, good. Another one is this. When you're talking about holistic learning, I want you to know something. Holistic learners, they tend to have intellectual, emotional, social, physical, artistic, creativity, spirituality potentials. See how it is more than what you read. When you read a paragraph, this is the best way to do it. Close the book, digest it. Apply it to everyday activities in your life. Try to write it in your own words. You don't have to master it all. You are not master of it yet. But try as much as possible. Maybe because I teach psych. Psychology applies to everything we do. So therefore, whatever I read, I will just put it down. And I give a story of something I watch on TV. Do I use that a lot in my classes? Oh, yes, I do. Because when I'm watching, I'm applying to what I have read. What are the characteristics that tend to make it serial killers? What are the, when I love criminal justice. Before they find who the killer is, I'm already analyzing. And I bring it to my class because I apply it. Because holistic learning is you apply it to the community. And when we say community, it doesn't mean where you live alone. It means the whole universe. You apply. Not even that alone. Creativity. Amazing. Be creative in what you read. Don't always go with only the terminology. According to so, that. But what does that mean? I want you to take something personal. Because when you take it personal and you reanalyze it in your own words and in your own, with your own examples, oh my God, no matter how your teacher put the question, you're going to be able to approach it. But if you learn it one way, and the question kind of like move a little bit, probability of applying the same logic is very slim. See what I'm trying to say? What's your name? What's your name?
Lynette.
Lynette. That's what I was trying to say. Text anxiety tends to happen when we haven't mastered the information yet. When we master it, the text anxiety may bring it on. Teacher said, we have a quiz right now. Try me. Bring it again, and it works. Because whatever you tell yourself as well, also, you know that our biopsychosocial, meaning our physical being, our understanding of information, our social being, kind of like walk hand in hand. He solidifies you. Have you ever heard of fake it until you make it? Yeah. You're telling me I don't understand it yet? Wait until I master it. Now, I want you to read. I give you a couple of minutes. Read number 1 to 10 of one of. Did everybody have a copy? I want you to read number 1 to 10 and see what does apply to you. What do you like most on that list? And I want you to share it and the reason behind it. I want you to give me an example. Are we ready? Yes. What number?
Number 4.
Number 4. Can you read it? Oh, yeah.
Psychological. As in Maslow's self-actualization, holistic education believes that each person should strive to be all they can be in life. That's something I always taught my kids. I always wanted my children to be better than me. I always wanted them to be more successful than me.
Me too.
And so I was always telling them, you can do it. All you got to do is set your mind to it. My daughter's a prime example. She didn't have the IQ of my son, who claims to be a genius.
Who claims?
He is extremely intelligent.
Oh, okay.
I will say that. I will tell you that. He's extremely intelligent. He doesn't use it wisely.
Yeah.
But he didn't use it wisely. He's learned.
Okay.
But my daughter always had to work for everything, you know. And when she wanted to go to school to be a nurse, I told her, I said, well, you can do it. I said, all you've got to do is just set your mind to it, that you're going to do it. And it was the same thing when I approached starting to get my degree. I can do it. All I got to do is set my mind to it.
That's it.
I mean, I'm 50, at the time I was 57 years old. That's, you know, things in my head was, you can't learn this, you can't learn that, your brain doesn't absorb that. Bull hockey.
Yes, I do agree with you.
You know, your memory may not be what it was when I was 22, 23, 30 years old, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, because you say that, let me remind you of something too. There are 2 types of intelligences. The first one is fluid intelligence. That's what we're trying to use here. It is true. As we're getting older, it tends to be more, it's slowed down a little bit. For me, tell me about the computer, cell phone, you do this, it goes in here, it comes out here, because I'm too old for that. When I need something done on those, I just drop it on my children's lap and they say, Mom, you press this. Is that all I have to do? Yes, good. All this application. But there is something nobody can take away from you. Crystallized intelligence. As we're getting older, our crystallizing intelligence is becoming wider and more solid because of life experiences. That's where wisdom come into play. And that's what we're seeing on the campus. If you see matured, don't jump on me on this. Mature students, what they will bring to the classroom,
Experience.
that's it. You cannot pay any amount of money for it. Amazing. Okay, one more. I mean, at least about 5 more. Come on. I still have, I'm running out of time. Okay,
I say number 10, self-knowledge.
number 10.
Yes, self-knowledge.
Okay, self-knowledge, emotional. Explain it.
Basically, it's what you intake in. Whatever society tell you, you always gotta educate yourself a little deeper. Anybody could take a job away, but nobody can take your education, your knowledge away.
Amen.
Wonderful. Okay, come on, guys. Anybody else? Don't let them kick me off. I think about 2, 3 people to talk. Come on, yes.
I like the meta learning, each student.
Number
learns-
what?
Number 7.
Number
Each
7,
student
okay,
learns in
yes.
their own way. I think that's really important because, like she said, even with time management skills, you incorporate it according to what fits you.
Yes.
Because she's a visual learner. I like to make outlines and read over my notes. Everyone's different, and that you need to do what works best for
What's
yourself.
best for you? Wonderful. Amazing. You raise your
That's
hand
what
too?
exactly
Oh,
what I
number
was gonna
7?
say, yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Back there, anyone? Okay, I see your smiley face. What number?
I like number 6. Good
Number
judgment.
6?
I was thinking that.
Okay.
For me, like, I like to judge, if I read over my syllabus, like like my assignments, if I see that one is, we'll read this, and then I see how many pages it is, I'm gonna do that one first, if it's an easier one.
Okay.
It's kind of just judging your assignments and goes with the time management.
Wonderful. I like that. Anybody else? The last one without the list?
I'll talk about number 2. It
Number 2.
doesn't
Oh, I'm
really-
sorry. I didn't see your hand. Number 2.
It
Okay.
doesn't really apply to me
Okay.
now, I don't think, but I did homeschool one of my children, and there's a philosophy in homeschooling where you unschool sometimes,
Yeah, I've heard that.
especially with, younger children, if you just need a day at the park. So you just incorporate life into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I like that.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking of
In number 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I say it. Wonderful. Thank you. Which number do you want to talk about?
I was gonna say number 9.
Number 9.
Refining values,
Okay.
development of character, because I think that's equally important to any other thing that you learn when you're in school is like developing character.
Mm.
Like that's probably one of the most important things.
I
in
like
life,
that.
I think is,
The same thing?
No, I was
Oh.
actually gonna speak on number 5.
Okay.
Freedom. For me, that just is like knowledge is power, and so that's freedom. Being educated is a sense of freedom.
Wonderful. And also think about the flexibility of learning with that number 5. Also think about the critical thinking skills, okay? It applies there too. Don't always fly with everything you read. Question everything up. Research. Become solid in seeking for factual, not just opinions. Research for that. Even when you do that, question it again. Who is doing the research? What are they getting? Who is promoting the research? It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's right. But it just means we operate more in gray areas. Any question for me? Are we text anxiety free? Please say yes. I like my Okay, good.
Challenge that for a second.
Okay, go
When
ahead.
I'm having tests, I can hear the clock ticking, I can hear the person next to me breathing, and I know the material. Like you said, a lot of it is experience, a lot of, life experience, but I can still, that's the anxiety part.
Yeah.
Like, your breathing is bothering me, stop breathing, you know? I mean,
Well, there's an easy
Well,
way to fix.
sometimes though, you
There's an
can
easy way to
move
fix
to
that.
another seat.
Earplugs.
You know that, right?
Well,
You can say,
yeah.
okay, I want to move
We
to
have
the
a
back room or
situation
something.
currently in our class that people are sick,
Okay.
so you can't stop 5, 6 people from coughing, you can't stop the person next to you from breathing, you can't get away from it. We've tried earplugs, we've tried mufflers, you know, and that, I think that's a lot of the anxiety is, that, you know, I can learn it, you can teach it to me all week long, but then when it comes down to that, now I've got to pass this. That's the anxiety of it. You know what I'm saying?
Now I got to pass this. You have to substitute that to, I got this. Because what we tell ourselves matters a lot.
You are your biggest enemy.
Yes. I'm not going to sit down there with people breathing and coughing on me and say, oh, I got to pass this. No, I said, are you okay? Okay, I got this. I may be a little bit on the goofy side or arrogant, but it shows in my scores. You know, it shows because I believe. I read, again, I want you to think like that. I read, I'm prepared, I know it. Sometimes I may shoot for A, I may get B, but it's okay. Check me again next time. See, I didn't look at it as like, oh my God, I didn't do well. No. I'm going to say, phew. That was the first test. Now I know how this instructors works. I know. The way he kind of like puts the question, I know. So by the time I'm on the second exam, you better be aware, instructor, because I will challenge it. I will challenge who or are too. Maybe become a very, very assertive. I don't allow little thing to bother you. Coughing,
I think that's
I cough too. You coughing? I cough too. Again,
Trust me, not like this, okay?
you know.
I
But
think
there
the
is you have to think of sense of, you have to grab to a sense of humor in everything, because that is the only way you can release anxiety. At least for me, I laugh about everything. If something doesn't, no, you know, another time is that some days you will not even get it. It's okay. Not every day will be your day. But some days when you were prepared, you know, everything is like a puzzle. You took my class before, you know me. You know, you are ready. I want you to start thinking negativity will come to the best of us. But it's the way we kind of like switch it back. You change the irrational thinking with rational thinking. Okay? I know Texas 90 is there, but we have to downplay it. Okay.
So extra copies, if you didn't get one of the tips and or the planner pages, I'm just gonna leave here. We also have a survey for TLC that we would like you to quickly fill out before you leave, just about the workshop today. And then when you're done, if you just leave it on the desk there, that's fine. So just take a survey and pass it down, please. And then once you're done with the survey, like I said, put it on this desk. And if you have anything further you would like to ask Dr. Orinde or me, we're here, so that's fine. Or you can just go after the survey.